lesson is on Introduction to Slope-Intercept Form and solving for y. Okay, so on your papers, you should be on the side that says y equals mx plus b. This is the formula for a line. Write that down. That's the formula for a line. Y equals mx plus b is the formula for a line. So that always makes a straight line. Always makes a straight line. Okay? M is your slope. M is your slope. And we also call it the rate of change. So write down both of those things. So slope and rate of change are the same thing. So that's what M is, slope and rate of change. Okay, B at the end is your y-intercept. It's your y-intercept. It is also your starting value. So we'll be using those words a lot in the next 3 weeks. You'll be hearing those words over and over. All right, one more thing I want to point out. They might switch the order on you, but if it's beside of the x, that's the slope. If it doesn't have an x, it's the y-intercept. Okay? So that's the difference in those two. All right, so let's go ahead to the first one. Your instructions say label the slope and the y-intercept. So when I look here, I need to find which number is beside the x, and it is a 5. So I'm going to put m equals 5. M stands for slope. Instead of making you write the word slope every time, they just decided to make it the letter M as a shortcut for you. Okay, so M means slope. Mountains have slope is how I remember it. Mountains have slopes. So M is 5. B is your y-intercept. Again, they just chose a letter instead of you making you write the words y-intercept every time. Is B positive 3 or negative 3? Good. B is negative 3. B is negative 3. On number 2, remember that we always put a 1 in front of an x. If it doesn't have the number, we put a 1. So M equals 1. And what does M stand for? Slope. So the slope is 1. The slope is 1. B, what does B stand for? Y-intercept. That is 2. On the first couple. Okay. All right. Down here, number 3. M stands for slope. Ethan G., what do you think M is on this one? Negative 1/2. This one gets a little tricky for B. Is there another number out here? So it's 0. So B is 0. Okay? B is 0. Okay. If you'll look at 4 and 5, everybody look up here for just a minute. Look at 4 and 5. 4 is missing a letter. What's 4 missing? X. 5 is also missing a letter. What's 5 missing? Y. Whenever you get to equations that are missing letters, you have to do what I call Yoxen. Write that down. I'm going to explain what that means in a minute. Yoxen. Yoxen. Okay? Y-O-X-N. You're not supposed to be talking right now. Yoxen. When it's y equals and it's missing an x, when it's missing the x, you're going to use this little tool. You're going to use this tool. If it's a y equals, the slope is going to be 0. The slope is going to be 0. That's what this means. If it's y equals, the slope is going to be 0. If you look over here, this one's missing a y. So we look up here. If it's an x equals, then it's going to be no slope. No slope. So let me say what this means again. Yoxin tells you that if you're missing a letter, you have to be missing a letter to even use this. So here you're missing the x. So when you go up here, y is going to be 0 slope. Over here you're missing a y. So you look up here, x is going to be no slope. Okay. Anybody have a question? Okay. Okay. If you look at 6 and 7, they're not in the right format yet. Let's go back to the original page. The formula is what? What's the formula? Y equals mx plus b. These were already in the formula. Y equals mx plus b. They were already in the formula. These two are not. So we have to solve them. So we're going to draw our line. We're going to draw our line and we're going to circle y because we want it to be y equals mx plus b. So draw your line and circle y. I'm going to move 2x over here because it's not best friends. Who's best friends with y right now? 3. Very good. -3. So I'm going to move the person who's not best friends. Okay? So 2x moves over here and it becomes -2x. And I'm going to write it just like that, right beside of it. 12 minus 2x. And we'll be doing this a lot, so you'll see it over and over. I'm trying to get y by itself. What's still with y? 3. -3. And this was being multiplied, so now I do what? You divide each one. Divide each one. I know this is new. That's okay. Just stick with me and you'll get it. You're dividing each one. Okay, so guys, I'm going to cross these two out and I'm going to write y equals. You may use a calculator today. What's 12 divided by -3? -4. So you write that right there. Here, a lot of you are probably going to do math, enter, which will work. -2 divided by -3. A negative over a negative just turns into a positive. But the calculator will also do that for math, enter. Don't forget to drop down your x. All right, guys, now we have it in y equals form. We have it in y equals, so we can say what m is and what b is. So you do have to do that on every one. You got to put m equals and b equals. I don't know. I have to look at it. Okay, Allison, what do you think m is on this one? Very good. Guys, m is always with your x. It's always with your x. So m is 2/3. M is 2/3. Let's see. Ethan H, what does that mean b is? Very good. B is -4. All right, Jacob Shelton, this next one. What do I have to get by itself? Good. So I'm going to draw my line and circle y. I'm going to draw my line and circle y. Chuck, what's going to move to the other side? And it's positive, so it becomes... so I put -4x. -4x. Dylan, what's still with the y? A negative, yep. So you have to put a -1. Guys, don't forget about that. A lot of people forget that, and then they'll miss this problem on their test. There's a -1, so divide everything by -1. Divide everything by -1. All right, so my answer is going to be y equals, what's 3 divided by -1? Good. -4 divided by -1. Good. And don't forget to drop down your x. Don't forget to drop down your x. All right, Chad, what is my m going to be on this one? Very good. M is always with the x. Anybody, what does m stand for?
Slope.
Slope. Good. Mountains have slope. Andrea, what's my b on this one? Good. My b is -3. Any questions about those two? All right, number 8. Haley, what are we trying to get by itself? So I'm going to draw my line and circle y. Tamara, what moves to the other side? So what do I write right here? X. Minus 5x. Gracie, how do I get rid of that 3? So this is multiply with opposite of multiply. So you divide each one by 3. Okay, guys, this is a good review from a couple weeks ago. When does the sign flip? Very good. When you're dividing by negative. So look underneath here. Is that a +3 or -3? Positive. Very good. So this sign just drops down. You drop down that sign. You drop it down. You keep it the same. Okay? What is 9 divided by 3? 3. What's -5 divided by 3? Math, enter, enter. And drop down your x. Drop down your x. All right, Tamara, what's your m on this one? Very good. Chuck, what's your b? Very good. M is always beside the x. M is always beside the x. All right, number 9. Zaria, what are we doing first? Very good. And circle what? Good. Draw your line, circle y. Daniel, what are we doing next? I'm making it what? So I write negative what? Good. Minus 4x. Dylan, what do you do next to get rid of the -8? Very good. Divide it. Write it under each one of them. Okay, let's see. Jacob Shelton, does this sign drop down or does it flip? Very good, because it's -8. Very good. So it flips. 16 divided by -8. -2. -4 over -8. Positive or negative? Negative over negative turns into a positive. Okay. Ethan H., what is my m? Just put 1/2. Don't put the x with it. Okay. And Ethan G., what's b? All right, number 10. Number 10, Chad, what am I doing first? And what else? Gracie, what number do I put in front of x? 1. Tamara, what do you do first? You move 1x over and make it -1x. because you're trying to get y by itself. So you're going to move the x to the other side. Okay. Haley, what are you going to do next? Divide by -2. So I get y equals, Ethan G, -6 divided by -2. Chuck, -1 over -2 turns into a what? Positive. So positive 1 over 2x. Positive 1 over 2x. Gracie, what's my m? Very good. Zaria, what's my b? What's the other number? B is 3. Okay. Number 11, Jacob King, what do you do first? Okay, a negative over a negative turns into a positive. Okay. Jacob King, what do you do first right here? And what? Circle what? Good. Okay. Dylan, what do I do next? I got to move 5x over and make it minus 5x. Move 5x over to the other side and make it minus 5x. We're moving our x's to the other side. Okay. Andrea, what am I doing next? By what? Good. Divide by -3. Divide by -3. There's a negative right here. Don't forget about it. Divide by -3. Okay. All right. Chad, do I drop my sign down or do I flip it? Why? Because you're dividing by negative. So you flip it around. Daniel, 15 divided by -3. -5. Allison, -5 divided by -3. Drop down your x. Okay. Dylan, what's your m? Ethan H, what's your b? -5. Okay. Okay, describe the differences between the graph of line A and line B. Let's first talk about how they're the same. What do you notice is the same about line A and line B? What's the same? They both have a 2x. What is 2? What word is 2? It's slope. Why is 2 the slope? Because it has x next to it. Very good. So they have the same slope. So write that down. They have the same slope. They both have a 2 for the slope. So they have the same slope. They've got the same slope. Okay, what is different about those lines? One has a -3 and one has a 1. And this is the B, right? This is the B and that's the B. And B stands for what? Look back at your paper if you need to. Good. So they have different y-intercepts. Write all that out. We're almost done, so you can handle that. Write that out. They have different y-intercepts. Okay, let's go to the next one. Andrew, what's the same about those? What do they have in common? What number? Over 3. And is that with the x? Which one's with the x? Slope or y-intercept? So they have the same slope. They have the same slope. Okay. Tamara, what's different about those lines? This one has a +2 and this one doesn't. This one, you could think about it, has a 0. So Tamara, this would be our B if we were naming it. What does B stand for? Flip your paper over and look. What does B stand for? Y-intercept. So they have different y-intercepts. Okay. One has a 0 and one has a 2. All right, Jacob Shelton, what is the same about this last one? Very good. Their B's are the same, so they have the same y-intercepts. Very good, Jacob. They have the same y-intercepts. They both have a 1 for the y-intercept. Okay. Ethan G., what's different about these? Good. They have different slopes.